Yeah, so when I first came along, I was really shy actually and not very confident. So I had to wait until I knew at least 2 people to feel confident enough to come through the door. And once I did that, I definitely felt that I connected with a lot of people who were here already. One of the things that I think was particularly relevant and has sort of stayed with me actually was how seriously I was taken. So I was 23 when I first came to the centre, and in some ways when you're that age I think people don't always take you that seriously in your life, but I really was taken seriously and related to on the level of my potential in terms of my Buddhist practice and growth, and the fact that it was possible for me to really engage seriously with a spiritual life. So yeah, that moved me a lot, and it gave me a lot of confidence. And yeah, I just felt, here are people that I want to be around and be with and practice alongside.
So my first memory of coming to the centre, so I'd missed the first 2 weeks of the beginner's course, and which you weren't allowed to do in those days. It was 1997. So I had a meeting with this gentleman called Abaya Kirti, who was the chair and founder of the centre. So I don't know what I was expecting, but when the front door opened and I met this gentleman, Abaya Kirti, I don't know what I was expecting, but I met a bald middle-aged man in a suit, which I just didn't think was what I would be meeting when I was meeting a Buddhist. I thought there'd be a monk or some old Tibetan guy who'd kind of float through the door and greet me as his long-lost sort of pupil who's always been waiting for or something. So I was just slightly sort of confused and had a meeting with Abaya Kirti, which was okay, but basically from then things just happened quite quickly and really changed. I started working at the Evolution shop. I moved into the men's community. I asked for ordination. Abaya Kirti became a very, very strong friend, and remained a strong friend up until he died. So it all just happened very sort of quickly and very sort of engaged, and yeah, it felt like it was. I didn't realise that initial meeting with the Abaya Kirti that I wasn't blown away by was it was sort of the beginning of the rest of my life, basically. Yeah.
I think my first memory of the centre goes back to when I first came with my friend to meditate, and I've got a really, really strong memory of being up in the shrine room, which is totally gorgeous, and we did the Metta Bhavana. So that was the first time of doing the Metta Bhavana, and I just had a really, really lovely experience doing it with my friend as well. We both felt it really strongly, and yeah, it still is a really, really strong memory.
So my first memory of the centre is when I was visiting. I met up with lots of friends and all the members in the Sangha, and everyone was very kind and welcoming. And I remember going to Sangha night where Jan Ruchi was leading in the evening, discussing like the evolution of Buddhism with I think music and stuff, and it was just a very kind of nice atmosphere. And I haven't really been to many Buddhist centres that much regularly, so I've been living in Spain, so it's just lovely being around people where we're talking in English, and yeah, I was just very welcomed.
Yeah, so my first kind of memory that felt really kind of alive with coming into contact with the centre was through doing a course, an introductory course, and I remember meeting the community and the people running the course, and I felt like they were embodying these qualities of kindness, patience and generosity, all qualities that I'm familiar with, but there was something that felt really different about them. They felt quite mysterious or potent, and I just had this real strong sense of like, I don't know what these people are doing or what they've got, but I want it. And I just really resonated with the Sangha and the community very early on, and in some ways I think they were kind of exemplifying the Dharma in a lived experience, and I just really had quite a strong resonance with that quite early on when I first came on the courses.
Yeah, so my first memory then is coming along to that first intro course, the first night. And it was actually the second night of the course. I'd missed the first one. And yeah, just walking in the door and yeah, just feeling very welcomed, very interested, very like, that's right. I remember the very first thing I did when I came in, I made a mistake because of it being the second week, and I ended up sitting downstairs with sort of the drop-in meditation instead of going up with the course like I should have done. But anyway, I was sitting in this drop-in meditation, first time I'd ever meditated with other people. And just such an experience of some sort of magic in that, like something different was happening. Yeah, so it was my very first kind of taste of this kind of, well, yeah, magic is the word I use for just what is this mysterious thing that can happen when we practice together. So yeah, that was my first experience. It kept me coming along.
Actually, my first memory of this centre is meeting Attabandhu. He was the first person I met when I came into the Buddhist centre, and he just was incredibly friendly, incredibly happy to see me. So it was really, I felt really welcome. That was my first impression. There's also, the centre seemed very friendly at the time. I wasn't around a lot in the first 4 years because I was involved in the longer retreats in Spain, but in between I would be involved in the centre a bit. And what I really liked about it is that it was bigger from the centre that I started in Amsterdam. It was a bigger Sangha, and it seemed very lively, and I liked the place, I liked the building, and and also that there's a community upstairs living above the Buddhist centre. It all felt like people were very engaged in building Sangha, so I just really liked that. There's a memory, or there's something I would like to share, if that's okay, a bit longer. So I knew of the Nottingham Buddhist Centre already through the chairperson's events that I used to go to when I was chairing the Amsterdam Centre. We started the Amsterdam Centre in Holland in 95. That's when we opened it. And this centre was opened in 96. So I remember Abai Kirti coming to the chair events, then the chair meetings, and sharing this exciting idea that Nottingham was going to have a building that was bought, by first starting the Evolution shop in Nottingham, and then building up money with the profits. They bought this place, and this was just really wonderful. This was a wonderful thing to do, because in Amsterdam we had to rent, and we're still renting, and it's far too expensive now to actually even dream of buying a place unless we get a lot of money. Yeah. So I think it was I was aware of Nottingham and how this centre started quite early on.
Okay, so around about 2012, 2013, we used to, as I said before, we used to come up for festival days, and I have a very vivid memory of coming here. Do that bit again, yeah? Yeah. I have a very vivid memory of coming here on New Year's Eve, and we used to come about, 8 o'clock, and there would be food and there would be cake and all the usual stuff, and then we'd have a various meditation, and then there'd be a sevenfold puja which would just finish at midnight, and we'd sort of, if you timed it right, when you did the shanti at the end, the bells came, and then we'd just sit in silence. And I have a very vivid memory of coming out about 10 past, 12, and you sort of float out because you've been meditating and doing the puja for 3 or 4 hours, and there's all the revelers out there chucking up in the gutter and falling over, and people in very few clothes on, and we're all sort of muffled up in our winter clothes, about -4 degrees. And I just have this memory of it. What a wonderful, magical way of spending, a New Year's Eve, and how different it was, and how we were being offered an alternative, if you like, from the, society's normal offering, if you like, in terms of how to celebrate things. And, you can have as much fun sober as you can, probably more fun sober than you can when you're, vomiting into a drain.
Yeah, well, I suppose it was that first drop in and meeting Sangha Katie, just very kind, very warm presence. And then I think it was maybe a little bit after that I did because that had been a good experience, I then did the introductory course, which was with Artabandhu, who I ended up living with in the end. But that was really positive experience. Yeah, I still remember that quite vividly, and how like down to earth the teaching was, and really funny, and again very friendly.
So my first memory of the centre is walking in and seeing this painting behind me, because it's just, well, it's really beautiful. And I think like anywhere you are kind of downstairs in this room, it's like such a huge focal point. And yeah, obviously it's a constant thing. So it's like, for me, walking in and seeing that was just like really, really beautiful. And it became like something that I would kind of just put my focus on when I was in here, because I sometimes find like social situations like a bit overwhelming, but it was always something that like brought me like a lot of comfort. So yeah, that painting's like my first memory, really.